Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Tom Logan. Tom Logan is co-founder and CEO of New York-based Cohley, a tech company that's changing the way brands generate and test content. Tom leads with a people-first mentality, continuously moving Cohley up the ranks of best places to work in New York City. Tom entered the tech world back in 2011 in Silicon Valley with Wildfire Interactive, then spent a few years at Google before joining UGC-focused Picora, where he met his co-founder Eric Grabber. In his free time, Tom likes to play golf, drink wine from his native Santa Barbara County, and relive his 15 minutes of fame, winning a car on The Price is Right with Bob Barker's final season. Well, good afternoon, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me on the pod. Great to be here with you.
Absolutely. This is so fun. Thanks again for jumping on and making the time today. And Tom, I really just want to jump into the questions so we can get your story out to our big audience. Let's jump into those career questions here initially. You've got quite the career as a customer success manager, as an executive, and now you're the co-founder and CEO of Cohley. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Yeah, well, thank you for the flattering backdrop there. I think what inspires me has changed over the years. Early on, I just wanted to progress in my career. I was more interested in titles. I just wanted to have an impact. Now I view my role as being one of many. It's a collective, leadership. And I view myself as a shepherd of an amazing organization, helping to set the vision, recruit great people, and continue to push forward. So I think what drives me now is different than what used to drive me. Right now, it's all about, creating the best possible organization, creating awesome value for our customers, and doing something that, really transcends an industry that needed to evolve.
That's awesome. And again, you're at the heart of it. It's the people and doing the right thing. And that's what's so inspiring about so many guests that I talked to on the show. So I think we've got really, the world is better than we think it is. There's a lot of bad things happening, but at the end of the day, I think everybody's really trying their best to make it a better place. So
I think most people are good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's talk about the pandemic a little bit, right? It's a bad word. It's almost like a 4-letter word, but now that it's starting to lift a bit, what are your plans for growth going forward? And will it be any different than the last 15 months?
That's certainly a great question. I think, when the pandemic first hit, like a lot of industries, our sort of target market and our customer base, which is really direct to consumer brands, really froze. It froze for about 2.5 months up until like really early to mid June of 2020. And basically by freeze, I just mean like they froze budgets. They essentially stopped what they were doing. And, we're also concerned about much larger things in their lives and their families' lives, et cetera. Fast forward to that, period in June, things start to accelerate like crazy. People start to shop online at a torrid rate, and e-commerce accelerates 5 years beyond projections, essentially in a 3 to 4 month window. Mm-hmm. People build new habits out of pure necessity, and then those habits stick because it's obviously been long enough. So the way that people actually consume products and purchase products, interact with brands has very much changed. So with that, we actually went from, hey, we got to put a bunch of customers on pause. We have to slow our hiring plans, to pretty much accelerating to a point that we were we were basically accelerated beyond the initial plan for the year, and started hiring aggressively, started pouring money into marketing, and realized that we had a real opportunity to help brands that they themselves had opportunities to take advantage of this shift to e-commerce. Obviously, part of that shift was needing the content to fuel personalized strategies across different digital channels, personalizing their messaging. So it shifted like crazy. But fast forward to the future, we're continuing to see that same trend line hold. More and more e-commerce, more and more brands shifting to digital. That's even being affected now by rising commodity prices and being squeezed by traditional retailers. People are just realizing that, like, hey, going direct to consumer, if we can build a brand and really build some real affinity and loyalty to our brand, like we can play with larger margins, and we can control the supply chain. 3PL has never been crisper than it is now. So, it's an opportunity for us to help create value and help brands sort of mitigate the risk of falling behind in this like hyper competitive environment.
Thank you for sharing. And it's amazing what we've accomplished in the last year plus with e-commerce, and how, I mean, literally people were like, oh crap, we've got to shift quickly. And I was amazed. I mean, I talked to CEOs that had to move 4,000 employees out of a physical brick and mortar to remote, and they had to do it overnight. So this is just awesome. How people can come together and work together to get through this challenge. It's been
you said most people are good. People are also more adaptive than they think they are as well, and more resilient. And, that was certainly true here in New York and across the country. It's really awesome. It's been awesome to see, frankly, people be able to shift traditional ways of thinking and pivot for the sake of their company.
Yep. Humans are an amazing creature. They are adaptable.
Incredibly adaptive. Yep.
So, Tom, let's talk about tech a little bit. This is a technology platform.
Yeah.
You're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies in your tech stack. Is there anything you might be able to share with us today?
Well, one, I think the biggest thing that I'm prioritizing now is getting the entire company closer to the customer. Meaning that, and that includes prospective customers as well. Right now, I think we have a little bit too much of a silo in the sense that it's really just our customer-facing folks that talk intimately with the customers about their challenges, about their hopes, about their dreams. And sometimes that information doesn't get spread to the product organization, for example, or even up to the executive level if we're not careful. So tools that can help with that. I mean, we really just want to start sharing snippets and little takeaways that actually are real conversations with the larger team. So we'll likely be using like a Chorus or a Gong or something like that. And then the second part of our tech stack that we're extremely excited about and we think can have a lot of potential for us is a tool called Churn Zero that basically enables us to see the sort of day-to-day activities, the adoption rates, the logins, and the overall like clear picture of how a customer is using our software. And it sounds really obvious, but like a lot of companies do not have that deep insight into usage, into adoptions, and into value. And the idea is that you don't want to be surprised when a customer leaves you, right? Or you don't want a 50-50 chance of keeping a customer. That's frankly already too late. So the earlier that we can identify potential snags or potential like, I don't know, challenges in the relationship, the better chance we have of righting the ship and going back to creating awesome value with them.
That's great. And I just had a podcast just before this, and we talked about that whole value process and the customer experience. And you're absolutely right. That's the key right there. And that's
getting real close to the customer. Yeah. Those are the common theme across both of those tech products for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. So Tom, last question here, and maybe you can share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in tech or entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of ways I could take this. I think part of this goes back to almost this like old adage of like chasing what you're passionate about. I think there's something a little bit like inherently wrong with that. If I just chase my passion, I would be working somewhere in the sports industry and probably be starving. And I wouldn't have had an open mind to other things that I could be passionate about, particularly in my, through my 20s, right? I'm well into my 30s at this point. But, I guess my point there is like, once you join a startup that you even might be mildly interested in, or say you're just interested in an individual that you'd be working closely with, or a culture that draws you in, you'd be surprised at the types of things that start to interest you, right? I mean, I can tell you firsthand that a number of Cohley employees end up seeing sort of parallel opportunities to work with, different teams within the organization. And a lot of times just like being within a company, talking to people, working, collaboratively across the organization almost like opens up your mind to things that you could be passionate about, or that you do find really interesting, or you find that you have a unique ability to be effective within. So I think that's one. It's just like get going and talk to people and put yourself in different experiences, and don't be so almost like you don't necessarily need tunnel vision coming out of college or even early in your career around exactly what you want to do or exactly what your dream job is. Like my dream job now is different than what it was coming out of college by a mile. And the second thing that I think could be helpful is switching the mindset around challenges and obstacles that you face within a startup, really within any entrepreneurial type of situation. If you can start to recognize, this is a little bit meditative in a way, but if you can start to recognize what you're actively avoiding or pain that you're dreading, or a certain activity, it could be dealing with the IRS, it could be having a tough conversation with an employee, it could be getting on the phone with a customer who's less than happy. But if you start to make a note of that and you actually start to use that as a tailwind and use that in a way that directs your energy to that item, and maybe that's first thing you do in the morning when you get in, or maybe you peak a little bit later in the day, recognize that, understand exactly what you're avoiding and run towards that, knock it out, go into it, view it as a challenge, not a problem, and an opportunity to create something, to create a good outcome. And that mind shift right there is, I think, very, very critical to the entrepreneurial mind. Because if you're running away from things and you're running away from pain, then that's when you experience real pain. So that's my little tidbit of wisdom there.
Absolutely. There are times where it is painful, but you have to get out of that comfort zone to eliminate future pain. But also you do need to take on those conflicts head on, and you'll be better for it. You'll be stronger and you'll grow. So thanks for sharing that. And I know that gem is going to be very helpful for someone here in our audience.
Hope so. Yeah,
absolutely. So Tom, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Mr. Thomas, thanks for having me on. Talk to you soon.
Bye for now.